What if wisdom isn't about knowing more? What if it's about living differently because of what you know? That's where the book of Proverbs takes us. After Psalms teaches us to bring our whole hearts before God, Proverbs asks, now that you know God, how will you live? Because faith isn't only revealed in worship, it's revealed in our decisions, our words, our relationships, our work, our money, our reactions, and the choices nobody else sees. Proverbs takes the wisdom of God and brings it into everyday life. So let's go on this quick journey through Proverbs. The foundation. Proverbs 1 and 7 gives us the foundation. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Biblical wisdom doesn't begin with intelligence, it begins with our posture toward God. To fear the Lord isn't simply to be afraid of Him, it's to recognize who He is, to honor Him, to take Him seriously, and to allow that understanding to shape how we live. You can know a lot and still live foolishly because information tells us what is true. Wisdom teaches us what to do with the truth. We live in a world with almost unlimited access to information, but access to information doesn't automatically produce wisdom. The question isn't only, what do I know? It's what I know. It's is what I know changing how I live. So yes, you may know a lot, but is that know a lot means that you're changing how you live? Because if not, there's a huge problem. Proverbs talks about surprisingly ordinary things. How we speak, how we work, who we choose as friends, how we handle money, how we respond to correction, how we control anger, how we treat people. Why? Because character usually isn't formed in one dramatic moment. It's formed through thousands of ordinary decisions. Proverbs repeatedly places two paths before us: wisdom and foolishness, integrity and compromise, humility and pride, self control and impulsiveness. And little by little, the path we repeatedly choose becomes the life we're building. We often ask God to change our future while ignoring the decisions shaping it today. Proverbs reminds us direction matters more than one moment. What we say actually reveals who we're becoming. Proverbs has a lot to say about our mouths. Words can heal or wound, build or destroy, calm conflict or create it. Proverbs 18 and 21 tells us death and life are in the power of the tongue. That's not a promise that our words magically create whatever reality we want. It's wisdom about the tremendous influence our speech can have. Before asking, can I say this? Wisdom asks, should I? And sometimes the wisest thing we can say is nothing at all. Keep in mind, wise people are still teachable. Here's one of the most challenging lessons in Proverbs. Wisdom isn't demonstrated by always being right. Sometimes it's demonstrated by being willing to admit when we're wrong. Again and again, Proverbs contrast the wise person with the fool. And one major difference is how they respond to correction. The fool rejects it, the wise person learns from it. That's important because becoming wise doesn't mean reaching a place where nobody can teach us anything. Wisdom remains teachable. Sometimes growth begins with three difficult words: I was wrong. This is one point I definitely include that I want to include in this. Proverbs contains wisdom principles about how life generally works. Again, wisdom principles about how life generally works. They aren't formulas guaranteeing a particular outcome every time. For example, Proverbs 22:6 says, train up a child in the way he should go. This is wisdom about the powerful influence of faithful upbringing. It doesn't mean parents can follow the right steps and guarantee every decision their adult child will eventually make. That's important when reading Proverbs and the rest of the Bible, too. Wisdom describes the path we should walk. It doesn't give us control over every outcome. And interestingly, the Bible has already prepared us for that tension. Job showed us that sometimes righteous people suffer. You can go back and watch my video on Job. Proverbs shows us that wisdom still matters. Both can be true. And of course, wisdom eventually points to someone. Proverbs doesn't exist separately from the rest of Scripture. The New Testament takes the idea of wisdom even deeper. Paul describes Christ as the power of God and the wisdom of God in 1 Corinthians 1 and 24. So ultimately, biblical wisdom isn't simply about becoming better decision makers. It's about becoming people whose lives increasingly reflect God. Proverbs teaches us the path of wisdom, and the larger biblical story eventually points us toward Christ. So as we wrap this up, maybe wisdom isn't found in one profound decision. Maybe it's built one conversation, one response, one boundary, one act of integrity, one humble correction, one faithful choice at a time. Proverbs reminds us that the quiet decisions matter because eventually the choices we repeatedly make become the people we're becoming. And that fits beautifully with the heart of my channel. Sometimes God shapes us most not through dramatic moments, but through the ordinary decisions we quietly choose His way, being shaped in the silence. Now we're going to transition to Ecclesiastes. The Bible does something fascinating. After Proverbs teaches us how to live wisely, Ecclesiastes asks, what happens when you've done everything you're supposed to do and life still doesn't satisfy you? Achievement, success, pleasure, possessions, knowledge. What if you gain everything and still wonder? What's the point? Proverbs asks, how should I live? Ecclesiastes asks, what makes life worth living? And that's where our journey through the Bible continues. So again, we'll be moving on to Ecclesiastes. I've covered Proverbs before earlier this year. I can't believe it's almost the end of 2026. So go back and watch those videos and shorts from Proverbs. And of course, with this one, I have a couple of shorts to come out. But after you watch the video or videos, just go back and read Proverbs. And again, my prayer is always that it'll make sense or make better sense. So I will see you next week in Ecclesiastes. Hope you have a great week.